Author's note. Author's note. Hello, friends. My name is Grace Ann. I'm new to this whole fanfiction thing, semicolon. But recently, I've encountered a problem that I believe this is the solution to. My little ones have been asking to read the Harry Potter books, semicolon. And of course, I'm happy for them to be reading, semicolon. But I don't want them turning into witches. So I thought, why not make some slight changes so these books are family friendly? And then I thought, why not share this with all the other mommies who are facing the same problem? So ta-da! Here it is. I am so excited to share this with all of you. So without further ado, once upon a time, there was a little boy named Harry Potter who lived under the stairs in a house on Privet Drive with his aunt and uncle. He was a good, obedient boy who did all his chores, but he felt that there was something missing in his life, something big and special, semicolon. But he could not quite name it. He stayed up every night and wished for that special something, semicolon. But then one day, there was a knock at the door, and everything changed. Answer the door, Harry! His Aunt Petunia, a career woman, barked from her armchair where she sat with her feet up. She had short, curly blonde hair and never wore any makeup. Uncle Vernon nodded sheepishly from the kitchen and put a tray of moist, chocolatey brownies in the oven. Shouldn't you be doing that? Harry thought. But he was a very obedient young boy, so he answered the door right away. He turned the brass metal doorknob and pulled open the heavy wooden door. On the porch was standing a huge, muscular man with big, manly beard, semicolon, and he was dressed in a plaid, red shirt, blue jeans, and sturdy leather boots. His chest was covered in a thick, unruly carpet of coarse brown hair. He wore a necklace that looked to Harry like a lowercase t. Just looking at Harry, feel happy, peaceful somehow, semicolon, but he couldn't say why. Good morning, kiddo, the man greeted amiably and smiled at Harry. He had the peaceful, friendly sort of face you just knew you could trust. My name is Hagrid. Could I speak to your mommy and daddy? I don't have a mommy or daddy, Harry replied sadly, and looked at his raggedy, old shoes that were blue. Perhaps that was why he felt so lonely, because they were blue. He thought, not for the first time, maybe that was what he was missing, a mommy and a daddy. But no, that was not quite right. I am so sorry to hear that, Hagrid uttered empathetically. You can speak with my auntie. You can speak with my auntie and uncle, Harry retorted politely, and blinked his big blue, childlike eyes. What do you want? Aunt Petunia peered out the door with her narrow, suspicious eyes, and she was wearing a baggy, unflattering pantsuit. Hello, neighbor. I was wondering if you have been saved, Hagrid exclaimed brightly, and tipped his wide-brimmed straw cowboy hat that he's wearing. Aunt Petunia laughed a gravelly laugh and leaned forward on her sturdy, practical boots. Saved? Don't tell me you're one of those Christians. Harry did not know what that word meant, but Hagrid's smile was the most peaceful smile he had ever seen. It made Harry feel warm and happy inside, just seeing the glowing, radiant grin on the kind, friendly stranger's face. He wondered why Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon did not smile like that. Yes, I am, Hagrid replied kindly. Are you? Aunt Petunia laughed again, and stuck her pointy, sharp nose up in the air. We are too smart for that. Haven't you read Dawkins? God is dead. Dawkins proved that. Would you like us to educate you on Dawkins, on the Dawkins? What is a Christian? What is a Christian? Harry queried innocently, and scuffed his shoe on the shaggy yellow carpet which had not been vacuumed in some time. Christians are good people who want to be good, Hagrid explained wisely, and crouched down so he was on eye level with Harry. We want to go to heaven after we die. Do you know what heaven is, Harry? Harry shook his head, and his big eyes were wide and curious. Heaven is a big, beautiful place where you can be with God. Aunt Petunia smacked her hands over Harry's young ears, and her voice was sickly sweet when she said, Thank you very much for your concern, sir, but he does not need your religion. He has science, socialism, and birthdays. Haven't you heard of evolution? I have a very good textbook on evolution. Could give you on it if you would like to learn things. Hagrid laughed wisely. Oh, evolution is a fairy tale. You don't really believe that, do you? Yes, I do, Aunt Petunia screeched. Well, then prove it. Aunt Petunia could only stare at him, and her big mouth hung open dumbly. Uh, Here, she thought, she was so educated and always demanded that Christians prove what they believed in. But she couldn't even prove her own religion. It was then that Harry knew who the smart one here was. Tell me how to get to this heaven place, Harry cried wistfully, clapping his hands together. I would clap, but I'm holding things. Sometimes the wisdom of the little ones is really amazing. We think we grown-ups know it all, but then God speaks through the mouths of the little ones, semicolon, and shows us how we are all mortals struggling along the path of life. Humility. All you have to do is be saved. Do you want to be saved? I do, Harry squealed, jumping up and down. Then pray the sinner's prayer. Aunt Petunia tried to stop him, but she was powerless against Harry's pure, innocent, holy energy. Soon, Harry had said the prayer. Hagrid beamed happily. You're a Christian now, Harry, Hagrid cried proudly. Harry smiled, but then interrogated. But how do I be a Christian? I don't know how. Hagrid grinned widely. There was only one place to learn that. Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles. Author's note. So, what do you all think? I may not be a professional writer, but I think I'm being given the talent to pull this off in service of a greater mission. Equals, closed parenthesis. Blessings, Grace Ann. Chapter 2. Author's note. Hello, friends. I've been getting so many lovely, thankful messages from mommies everywhere, and I just want to say thank you all for your encouragement. However, I have been getting several messages, I've been getting several messages saying that my story is bad because Harry Potter is not just about witches. It is also about friendship and kindness and bravery. Friends, this time. This is exactly what I have been saying. Harry Potter has many good things about it, but it is still witchcraft. So my children cannot read it. But that is why I am writing this. So they can have all their adventures and good morals of Harry Potter books without all the bad stuff that is bringing it down. I mean, Matthew 3:12, am I right? So without further ado, to chapter 2. Equals, close parentheses. Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles? Harry queried, semicolon, and clasped his hands. Just at hearing that name, he felt such a sense of inner peace. He wanted to have more of that peace, semicolon. He wanted to learn how to be a good Christian, he was starting to think that peace and being a good Christian were in fact the exact same thing. I want to go there. Hagrid beamed widely. He had been praying so hard to save a soul today, and he was so happy to have saved the soul of such a sweet, earnest little one. The poor boy being raised by two parents who were not Christians, semicolon, and who both went to work and left him with a babysitter all day long. It was a good thing Hagrid had got here in time. 5 years down the road, Harry might have been a fornicating, drug-addicted evolutionist. Don't be silly, Harry. Don't be silly, Harry, Aunt Petunia commanded, semicolon, and wrung her long, bony hands. I guess she's not fat in this version. Come back inside. I will read to you about evolution from the Dawkins. You do not need that silly religion. Harry scrunched up his innocent little face, semicolon, and thought very hard. Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon were as close to parents as he had, and this was the only home he knew. Could he really leave? But he was saved now. He had prayed the sinner's prayer. He could not stay here anymore, not with what he knew now. Suddenly, he knew what he had to do. No, Aunt Petunia, he uttered calmly with childlike wisdom. Evolution is not real, and I am going to Hogwarts. No, no, Harry, Aunt Petunia screeched desperately. I have an idea. You can have a second birthday today. You like birthdays, right? Birthdays are not of God, Harry verbalized knowingly, and looked at his aunt with an innocent wisdom. You tried to corrupt me, but it did not work. But I forgive you, Aunt Petunia, because of Luke 23:24, which he has read. Hagrid was amazed once again at the wisdom of little ones. He did not know if he could forgive someone who had hurt him as much as this woman had hurt little Harry. Deny him the truth? Who could be so cruel? But Harry did not even think twice about it. He forgave her just like that. Truly, Hagrid gained a new understanding of Matthew 19:14 that day. Do not leave, Harry, Dudley wailed childishly. It's kind of hard to read because the printing overlapped. Yeah, we're just going to skip his line. Something. And with that, he and Hagrid began to walk down Privet Drive. How will we get to this school, Hagrid? Harry queried curiously. We will pray, Hagrid retorted knowledgeably. How do we do that? Harry solicited inquisitively. Watch, Hagrid said, semicolon, and then got down on his knees on the road. He motioned for Harry to get down on his knees too. Hagrid raised his hands to the heavens and cried out in a deep, thunderous voice, Dear Lord, take us to Hogwarts. Harry felt himself being whisked away, semicolon, and in a moment he was sitting in a cool, damp grass outside of a humongous, beautiful castle. He looked in awe at the tall towers and the grey stones. What a beautiful place! A tall, thin man with a long, pointed beard and big, wire spectacles stood in front of Harry. He was wearing a brown tweed suit and a nice matching hat. His shoes were made of leather and polished until they shone. He had a smile much like Hagrid's smile, so peaceful, Harry just knew he could trust him. A lovely, kindly young woman with flowing blonde hair and a pleasant heart-shaped face stood beside this holy man. Hello there, little one, the man greeted amicably. I am Reverend Albus Dumbledore, and this is my wife, Minerva. Welcome to Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles. Author's note, blessings. Good Lord. Chapter 3. Author's note, hello friends, I have struggled a lot about whether or not to keep going with this story, but with a lot of praying, my husband and I have decided it is the right thing to do. We want our little ones to have a good Christian literature to read, and in this modern world, sometimes this can be hard to come by, so I will just have to make do, equals, close parentheses. Pleased to meet you, Reverend Dumbledore, Harry replied enthusiastically and got to his feet. This sure is a beautiful place you have here. The Reverend beamed. Why, thank you, little one. His voice had a distinctive southern twang to it. Sorry. The Reverend beamed. Why, thank you, little one. His voice had a distinctive southern twang to it that made Harry feel so safe and welcome. He knew in that moment that the Reverend was a man of God. This poor little one was being raised in a terrible situation, Hagrid declared concernedly. He was watched by a babysitter every second of the day. His aunt saw him as part of her perfect life package, like the big house, the fancy career, the speedy car. Dumbledore shook his head. Too bad no one told her. Parenting should be about the children, not the parents. That is why it is called parenting. Hagrid nodded wisely. Dumbledore turned to Harry and announced authoritatively, Now, you can start your classes tomorrow morning. Today, you can get settled into your dormitory. But first, why don't you eat dinner with my family and me? Really? Harry gasped excitedly. I've never had a family dinner before. Why don't you come with us then? Dumbledore cried kindly, and then got down on his knees. Everyone else did the same, raising his large, massive, manly hands up to the heavens. Dumbledore bellowed in a voice even louder than Hagrid's had been, Lord, please take us to the kitchen. Suddenly, they all found themselves in a tasteful, decorated kitchen. Wow! Harry shouted in awe. He was still getting used to the power of prayer. Sometimes we take the wonderful things the Lord gives us for granted, and it takes a newcomer to the fold for us to understand just how blessed we are. That was amazing, he says. Hagrid smiled knowingly. God is an amazing guy. He sure is. He sure is, the Reverend's wife chuckled, before getting. They're not even calling her Minerva. The Reverend's wife. The Reverend's wife chuckled, before get down to her knees and raising her own hands upwards. Dear Lord, please set the table with the sky blue cloth and the Sunday dishes, and please give us biscuits fried golden brown and gravy, creamy mashed potatoes, my great aunt Eleanor, corn casserole, corn on the cob slathered with butter, and for dessert, some chocolate raspberry cookies. I guess women don't have to cook in this universe. All of these things appeared on the table exactly as the Reverend's wife had asked for them, masterfully prepared and delicious smelling. Harry's mouth dropped open. Truly, this woman was a real Proverbs 31 wife. What does that mean? Hermione, Hermione, the Reverend summoned loudly. Dinner time. Immediately, and with cheerful obedience, an 11-year-old girl in a pretty pink dress with a matching bow came running down the stairs. She ran over to her father and gave him a winning smile that daughters have. Welcome home, Daddy, she smiled, and then turned to his wife. Can I help at all with dinner, Mommy? It is all prepared, thanks be to God, her mother retorted gracefully. Hermione nodded knowingly. Hermione, I would like you to meet Harry Potter, our newest student at Hogwarts School of Prayer and Miracles, Dumbledore introduced magnanimously. Harry, I would like you to meet Hermione Granger, my beloved daughter. Pleased to meet you, Hermione responded sweetly, with a shy grin. Harry could barely respond. This was the most beautiful young woman he had ever come across, so different from all the girls in public school, who were focused on trying to be like the career woman they saw on Sex and the City. This little one was the picture of innocence and godliness. Now, Dumbledore pronounced genially, let's eat. As the holy men, women, and little ones dug into the delicious manna the Lord had granted them, the conversation amongst the adults turned to darker topics. Harry listened intently, and he did not understand it, but he was very interested. Dark days are coming, Hagrid pronounced gravely after around a mouthful of casserole. Evil forces are coming into this world, and the little ones at Hogwarts may be our last resort. Psalm 127.5, Dumbledore referenced solemnly, and the others around the table nodded knowingly. Hogwarts might be the last hope for the forces of good in this world. No author's note. Okay, that was the end of chapter 3. Thanks for watching. Fuck you, Luke.